So for this video, I'm going to be shooting long exposure night photography, specifically medium format film, long exposure night photography on my Pentax 6.7. The Pentax 6.7 is hands down my favorite film camera that I've ever owned. I have two of them now. The first one I bought from Japan and it showed up and it was kind of broken. The shutter winder was a little messed up, and so I was only getting 7 frames as opposed to 10. And with a medium format camera, you know, getting 7 photos is not bad, but when you're paying, you know, $12, $13, $14 for a roll of film, and then about that same amount to get it developed, and then a bit more to get it scanned, losing 3 frames actually is kind of a big deal. So I was lucky enough to have a friend reach out to me whose dad was kind of handing down this camera. He used to be a photographer, I guess, for Mississauga in, you know, for his job. And it happened to be a Pentax 6.7, and I was so stoked, and I bought it, and this one is working perfectly fine. It's my favorite camera of all time. I can't see ever letting it go. So shooting night photography and long exposures in general, one thing that is always a big concern is camera shake. I have my shutter release cable here, which will obviously help with that, because if you just use your thumb, it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a deal, but just because you'd have your setting on bulb, you'd have to hold your thumb there. And if you're doing an exposure for, say, a minute or 2 minutes long, kind of just holding your thumb there and your hand on the camera, you're very likely to get some camera shake. I learned the hard way the first roll I shot doing night photography with one of my Rolleiflex cameras. Pretty much every photo except for one was pretty blurry, and I was only doing about 15 to 20 second exposures. So this is going to help a lot. I've actually never shot night photos on my Pentax 6.7, even though it is my favorite camera, so I'm excited to see how these turn out. The only concern that I might have shooting night photos with the Pentax 6.7, and this probably isn't going to be and this probably isn't going to actually have any effect, but it's still a bit of a concern, is the mirror slap on this camera. What that is basically when you hit the shutter, the mirror slaps up, letting the light in to hit the film. And for whatever reason on this particular camera, it is like very violent, and when you hit the shutter button, it like sounds kind of like a gun. It's just like and so I'm not sure if I'm gonna get any kind of camera shake from just the mirror itself. I don't think so, but something to be aware of, I guess. Oh, that's okay, man, don't worry about it. That's okay, don't worry. I've already done like 10 takes, so it's okay. I know motels and shooting motel signs and motels in general is kind of super overdone at this point, but it's a little weird. Here there's like the office is still open and there's people around, so I'm not gonna like set up the camera outside the car. I might just try and set it up like in the car, and I'm just gonna try and like quickly take a photo and just kind of get out of here. So this is obviously a pretty cool scene. The moon is like looking really nice right now at this field. I love fields. I don't know. I'm never not gonna love fields, so it's a great field. So yeah, I think it's really, really dark here. I don't know how well it's showing in the video because I'm at like 6400 ISO and like 1/30th shutter speed on my video. So I think because of how dark it is here, I do have some ambient light coming from the highway lights there, and I've got this window factory here. There's some lights coming off that, but the field itself is very dark, so I'm probably gonna do a 3-minute exposure here. And one thing that I did just want to note on quickly is at the motel I mentioned how shooting motels and motel signs is super overdone, and I kind of hate when people say stuff like that, and then I went ahead and said it. So I just want to say that if you love shooting motel signs, motels, if you love shooting gas stations on Cinestill 800T, if you love shooting whatever you love shooting, it honestly does not matter. If you love doing it and it makes you stoked on your life, then you should just do it until you die. Because honestly, the only people who are going to make you feel bad about it are probably just like the worst people, so who cares? Alright, so this is going to be a vertical photo. Always makes me a little nervous having a camera as heavy as the Pentax vertical on a tripod. My tripod's not that great. But because I'm shooting vertical because I want to get this the sign kind of in the foreground with the moon in the background, just to kind of have at least one more added element in it, so it's not just a field and a moon. So you can see there's kind of these tire tracks going into the field here. So the moon is annoying. The moon is so far over this way. I wish it was a little more like right here. But I'm gonna try and frame something up with the tire tracks and the moon and try to avoid the lights from the highway as much as possible. Focus. Alright, so this shot is going to be f11 at 4 minutes. Another fun thing about a shutter release cable, which I gotta be honest, I forgot about until this point, is when you punch it in, it'll just stay there until you hit the release. So if you are doing a shutter time of 4 minutes, for example, like I am right now, you just push it in, gently place it beside, and just kind of hang out for 4 minutes as opposed to like nervously holding it. Should mention about this location, aside from it being really noisy, it's a lot windier under the bridge. So again, my tripod's not like the worst, definitely not the best. So I'm hoping that I'm just gonna like really push it into the ground and hope it just stays as still as possible. Make sure that's super wound up. Pop it open. Beauty. That out of there. You know, always a little nerve-wracking when you're shooting film in general, but when you've spent a whole night shooting film, taking it out can be a little scary. So that's the roll, and that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I gotta say I had a really fun time shooting this one. There's something about shooting at night that's just like very peaceful for me. So I think I'd probably like to do a few more night shoot videos. So you know, hope you liked it. Like and subscribe.